Today I'm gonna show you the difference between canola oil and unsalted butter, which I cook with when I cook with butter, and what happens in a pan and what to look for. Hopefully I won't, set anything on fire. All these different oils and lards have something called smoking points, which is pretty much where you can bring that oil or lard up to temperature-wise and when you start to burn it and it breaks down and will pretty much catch on fire. Butter and things like olive oil and more delicate oils are usually around 183 degrees to about 400 depending, and then you have canola oil, which is at about 450. Avocado oil is actually the best oil. It's expensive, but you can bring that up to the highest temperature, but no one's cooking with avocado oil. Usually they're finishing with avocado oil on a salad or something like that. We'll start with pans that are cold, and we're going to bring things up. We're going to bring the pans up in heat. And I'm going to put the canola oil in, I guess, we'll put in the smaller one. And you can watch how the oil changes in consistency in the pan. Like, it starts to spread out as it gets hotter and hotter and hotter, and then it starts to smoke, and you're going to see that happen. And that's kind of when you know it's hit its smoking point. When it hit, if I was to be, let's say, cooking a piece of fish, as it got to that point where it's smoking, I would turn the heat down and put my fish down and get like a really nice sear, but then remove it off the heat, because you would either burn it if you left it on the heat, or you could actually set a fire. And if you ever do set a fire with oil, don't use water, use salt to put it out. Oil and water do not mix. So it's almost, as the oil comes up, you can see it almost thins out. It loses that like viscosity that it had, as in the bottle it's just so much kind of thicker, and in the pan it almost starts to get really kind of thin, and that's as it heats up, the proteins loosen up. Okay, so it's pretty much starting to, you can see it rippling in the pan, and it's finally going to pull out, and you'll see it start to smoke in probably about a minute. While we're waiting for that, I guess we can start with the butter. Now, butter is pretty much milk solids and water and the proteins in the butter. So you pretty much you add your butter to a hot temperature, and you can see, okay, see now it's starting to smoke, and that's kind of done. You can't bring it up really any much more, or else it actually can ignite in your pan. So the butter, basically you can't bring it up past a certain point because the milk solids will burn. Kind of like if you've ever had a Bournoisette sauce or vinaigrette or brown butter, that's the browning of the milk solids. So pretty much you can see on the pan, it's starting to brown here. And those are the milk solids from the butter that are starting to brown. Like right now, that would taste great if you scraped it off. But if you keep letting it go, it'll turn black and you'll basically burn it. See now the butter's starting to turn brown. You've pretty much reached your smoke point. It's smoking, everything's kind of relaxed, and everything's separating out now. See, now you're burnt. That's done. And I mean, it took literally 30 seconds to do this, and it took a couple of minutes to get to this point with the oil. There is something called clarified butter, where it's when you separate the milk solids, and that will actually increase the smoke point for butter. Things like ghee or drawn butter, it's like another name for clarified butter. And you can, in some restaurants you'll cook fish in clarified butter. The smoking point is a lot higher, and the flavor is a lot better than the oil. You're not going to get that kind of oil flavor. So that's pretty much it.